Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is the Center on School Choice. On School Choice, and we have with us to talk about the Center on School Choice, Dr. kWong, a professor from Vanderbilt University and one of the directors of the Center on School Choice at Vanderbilt University. And of course, Dr. Wong, let me welcome you to the show this morning.
Good morning, Dr. Haney.
And to tell you, Dr. Wong, how delighted we are to have you here this morning, and recognizing that we're having a little movement in trying to get started here, but we're certainly glad to have you here and to talk about what we consider to be a very, very important topic, and that is the center that has been recently funded by the federal government at Vanderbilt University to the tune of some $10 million. And of course, we know that you played a very, very significant role in terms of bringing that center into fruition. And so what we want to do is to talk about that this morning. But Dr. Wong, before we start talking about the Center on School Choice, let's have you to give us some information about Dr. kWong, to talk about your background, your education, and some of the things that you felt are important in terms of bringing you to Vanderbilt University and eventually to deal with this Center on School Choice.
Well, Dr. Haney, I'm very delighted to be here this morning to have the opportunity to have this conversation on educational reform in general. And then we'll definitely have an opportunity to talk about this new National Research Center on School Choice, Competition and Student Achievement at Vanderbilt University. My own background is that I was trained actually as a political scientist at the University of Chicago about 20 years ago. And at that time, I was very interested in a question of why do we have government? Why do we have governmental programs? And how are these programs being implemented? And how do we know that they are working or not working? And so my own doctoral dissertation was actually looking at a very important educational federally funded policy that began in 1965 called the Title I of Elementary and Secondary Education Act. And that program remains to be funded even today, although we've changed that name many different times, and we'll come back to it as part of the context on why this school choice center is important. Now, of course, we call it NCLB, or known as No Child Left Behind, that was signed into law in 2001. But when I was a graduate student conducting my own dissertation study, I was interested in the implementation of that program, particularly in inner-city urban areas. And what I found through that study was that you really need a lot of collaboration between the local government and the state as well as the federal government to bring about more effective service delivery in inner city neighborhoods. So that started me to think about other educational issues, and along the way I become more interested in educational governance. That is, who has the power and how do we improve on citizen involvement, and how do we make the system more transparent, meaning that how do we make data and school performance information more available to parents and community residents so that they could make better decisions for the schooling opportunities of their children. Over the years, I have written a lot of grant proposals. And as you know, as academics, we try to stay published, or otherwise will be perished. And so what we have done over the years, and I also engage my colleagues in sociology and economics and political science and so on and so forth, as well as some of my doctoral students, what we've been doing over the years have focused on a number of issues. One is that what happened to the schools that are underperforming? What are some of the consequences as a result of underperforming? And so more recently, we know that under No Child Left Behind, there are actually corrective actions required. There's the parents would have to be given the opportunity to send their children to alternative schooling services, or charter school or after school programs and so on. And I think it's very important for us to understand some of these issues. And another big topic that I've always been interested in is how do we improve accountability and how do we build up the capacity of the school system to deal with accountability.
Dr. Wong, and I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll take this first commercial break, Dr. Wong, and then we'll come back and talk about school choice and accountability.
Great.
And of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. We're talking to Dr. Kenneth Wong.